It's kind of a sobering moment when you realize that you could be sent into a war zone, and it wasn't anything to be taken lightly. It was serious. It's serious business. We came in as sort of the second wave. We'd had photographers there before the war and during the invasion, and a few of us came after the war had ended. We were asked if we wanted to go, and I said, yeah, I'll go. And I had a wife and a 9-month-old baby at home, and we headed over, and I'm like, what did I get myself into? The soldiers had to be there. They signed up and they had to go. And I think that as journalists, we have to go too. George Bush said the war's over, mission accomplished. So that took a little bit of the anxiety out, because I had never covered a war before. I did not know what to expect, but there was no insurgency yet. That hadn't coalesced into anything at that point. You could walk around without security. You could go to a restaurant and eat. You could go to the hotel and have a drink. We went to Mosul, Erbil, Kirkuk, and then wound up in the Kurdish areas. What struck me about being in the Kurdish territories was there was no war there. It was life as normal. I mean, you look out your hotel window and see, fathers walking with their daughters on the sidewalk, people in the park having picnics. Pictures of George Bush and Tony Blair were on the side of buses. There was a man wearing a George Bush t-shirt. They were grateful for what the United States had done. And there was no active combat going on. There was no insurgency. I think our job was to go in at this point and tell the story about what happened and what we were going to do moving forward. The people were trying to get on best they could with limited resources and supplies. Gas was rationed or really hard to get. We were buying our gas on the black market. I think we were paying about $9 a gallon. We were in the Kurdish regions, and we met some families that had the Iraqi government kidnapped and killed their children. One man's son went missing, and they found his body and wouldn't let them bury it. And the mother of the son who was killed, she started crying. And here, when you're reporting on something like that, it's your first instinct to give them a hug and tell them, be empathetic. In that culture, you don't hug a woman, but I had grabbed her and gave her a hug, and then realized, I shouldn't be doing this. And the father, he put his hand on my arm. He says, it's okay. It's okay. I remember going to a Kurdish government official's office. I think it was Sami Abdurrahman, Kurdish governor. Very gracious man, invited us into his office, and we talked, and he let me make a portrait of him to run with the story. And we said goodbye, and several months later I read that he was a victim of a suicide bomber. Him and his son were both killed. I felt good that we were giving a voice to people that had, they had been wronged by the Iraqi government, by the Saddam and the Baathists. And now we were getting to tell their story, and they didn't have to worry about being, any of the reciprocations of telling us what had happened. It wasn't going to be any more retribution, because they were more or less safe now.